Hey, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday night OWCP Chats with Chris and Gini.
Another Wednesday night chats, our last one until our vacation is over.
Yes.
We may do
Well,
something.
okay, so let's put it this way. We will not be on next Wednesday because we are in home sweet home, Utah. We'll be in Park City in the mountains with our boys for this is when we take our vacation. And then the following week we will be on. So that would be the 29th. We will be on the 29th live from Salt Lake City.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, that will be fun. So
We take our vacation after the rest of you and after all of our staff, so we're the last ones.
we
And that's
don't
what this is.
we don't do summer vacations at
No.
all. That's too much for us. We already live in a state where people have summer vacations. So
Yeah, everybody takes spring break and summer breaks at our home.
yeah. So with that said, hi. Oh, let's mute
Anyways.
that. All right. What we'd like you guys to do tonight is go ahead and share this live. A lot of you will see some offices on here, some of our federal injury centers offices on here, just giving you their FIC location, address, and phone number. And you're welcome to give them a call if you choose.
Yeah, but that's up to you. You don't have to go to any of our doctors to be here. If you're new here, we are Chris and Gini. We do training on OWCP on Wednesday nights. We are on all social media channels. We also have a podcast called the Breaking OWCP Podcast with Chris and Gini. You can find that anywhere you listen to podcasts. These chats are always replayed there. So if you're on the West Coast and you're just now getting off of work and you're not able to make it live, you can listen to us tomorrow while you're driving around. And that's the purpose. And we do have other content that comes out occasionally as well.
Yes. So tonight, a lot of you are confused, is the word. And it's okay because
Get in line.
filing.
That's how it is.
So tonight's topic is on the most, at least we think, the 5 most important forms you're going to need when filing your claim. So we're going to talk about the CA1. We're going to talk about the CA2. We're going to talk about the CA16 because a lot of you don't even know that there's a form CA16 exists and what it's used for. We're going to talk about a CA17, and then we're going to talk about a CA7, and then we'll answer any other questions you guys have tonight.
These forms are really important, especially for those of you that work for the Postal Service and you've been working your tails off for the last 2 months and you still are doing your returns. Many of you are breaking the Chris's golden rule of report it now so you don't lose benefits because you want your overtime. I understand. But those of you that did get injured, just understand that if you rub some dirt on it and wait, you're losing benefits. So we're going to talk about that along with these forms tonight. This is what I call the ABCs of OWCP. So if you're new here or if you've been here a while, you're going to hear some repeat. But too many of you still don't have the first clue on what to do when you get hurt at work. So we're going to talk about these forms and make it as easy as possible for you to do what you need to do, what's best for you.
So if you don't know, go ahead and click that little share button that's right there. Send it to your coworkers, tag your coworkers, and a lot of you will wind up tagging. And just what you need to do, because they will not see the tag. You have to use the @ sign and then their names, and then they'll be able to see the live. But the best thing for you to do is share it, especially if you have a group of friends that you work with and don't know that we're here, so that they could actually see the live video.
Well, what's in it for you, Chris, for me to share? Nothing
Nothing's in it for us.
at all. But a very small fraction of federal employees have accepted claims every year. And the primary reason for that is that people don't know what to do when they get hurt at work. And
Yes.
we're here to tell you what to do.
Yes.
We want you to be at work. We want you to not get injured. We want you to get back to work as soon as humanly possible. We want you to get better and not have to pay for anything out of your own pocket.
Yes.
And you do that by getting an injury claim accepted. So a small fraction of federal employees have accepted claims. About 97% of people who come to federal injury centers and who come to Wednesday night chats and to Breaking OWCP have accepted claims. So if you are somebody that needs that help, you're in the right place.
Yes.
And if you have a friend who needs this information, and believe me, you do, because you all have 2 or 3 friends or coworkers at work that have a problem, then share this and don't leave them in the dark.
And if you are not a federal employee and happen to be on this page, you guys, there's a lot of you on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook. This is what we do. We train and educate federal employees. So this is the page for all federal employees to come to and get to know and ask any of your questions and learn exactly what we're here to teach you.
So last week we talked about the form CA-10, what a federal employee should do when injured at work, and that is the most basic form in the ABCs. It's whatever comes before A. Most of you have never heard of it, so if you're here for the first time, go find a form CA-10 at federalinjurycenters.com. We have a OWCP forms tab. You can download all the CA-10s you want. In that CA-10, it talks about the forms, many of the forms we're going to talk about tonight. But it doesn't talk about all of them because, for example, CA7 is how you get paid when your claim's accepted. So we're going to discuss that too. But I'm going to start tonight with the most basic of all things in OWCP, and that is the form CA1 and form CA2.
Let's talk about that. What is a CA1?
Well, I'm going to talk about them together to help you understand. The CA1 and CA2 are the forms you fill out online at ecomp.dol.gov. You fill these forms out to report or to file a work injury claim.
Correct.
A CA1 is a form that you fill out online. It's digital. It's completely online. Okay, it's virtual on ecomp. It's what you fill out to report an injury or to file an injury claim that happened in a single work shift. An example would be stepping off of a curb and twisting your knee, or picking up a package and feeling a pop in your back, or you're putting a package into a mailbox and you hurt your arm in that instant, or you're in a car wreck on the job. Those are all examples of CA1 injuries. And you have to fill those out on a form CA1 through ecomp.dol.gov.
Yes.
And it's really simple, actually. And people really make way too much out of this, but you, as the employee, only have to fill out the first page. And then your supervisor receives an email from you, and they have to fill out the second page.
Correct.
And that's it. Does that sound hard?
It's not.
It's not. It's actually easy. And they don't ask you any questions on page 1 that you don't know the answers to. And they don't answer or ask your supervisor questions that they can't find the answers to. And so this is a really simple process. And then when your supervisor gets it, they have 10 days from the date they receive the email to submit it to Department of Labor. And so just keep in mind, there's a clock that's ticking, and it's a 10-day clock. And if it takes 11 days, you should consider filing a grievance with the help of your union. Because until Department of Labor receives your CA1 form, your injury claim is not officially filed.
Correct.
Your benefits cannot start until your injury claim is filed, and then your claim is accepted, right? So no benefits until your claim is accepted, except for a couple of things I'm going to tell you about here.
I'm laughing because I remembered the one time as I'm sharing, and that's what I'm doing. I'm sharing. I remember like a couple of years ago, that lady goes, "Why is she just staring at her phone? She's not even paying attention."
She's totally not engaged. Not even a little bit. She's probably watching some TV show on her phone.
I'm actually sharing to all the federal pages that I've been allowed to share on.
Yeah, so you can do the same thing, and we really appreciate it. And so do your friends. They don't know they appreciate it until they receive the info.
Yes. So let's get started.
All right. Well, we got started. Hi. Welcome back.
No, I'm saying let's get started.
We did already.
On the CA2.
Well, I'm not there yet. So the CA1, she's like, let's get started 8 minutes in. So the CA1 is to report an injury that happened in a single shift. Now, on the CA1, you have 2 important benefits that you can elect. The first one is continuation of pay, and that is in box 15, letter A of the CA1 form. So continuation of pay is how you get paid on a CA1 claim that was reported within the first 30 days after the injury.
Yes.
Now, you need to report now because there's other benefits that I'm going to talk about, CA16, that if you wait more than a week, you can't have. So report it now. And I'm only talking about CA1s. You're not eligible for COP on a CA2 claim, which I haven't discussed yet. But a COP gives you up to 45 calendar days of time off. I had a claims examiner, a senior claims examiner, who said, just tell everyone to file COP because worst case scenario, if their claim's not accepted, they'll just go and take your sick and annual leave. But if you don't do COP on day 1, then you have to use your sick and annual leave. So give yourself a fighting chance not to have to. Either way, you will if your claim's not accepted. Again, like I said, we get claims accepted at a 97% rate. Nobody that I know of has ever paid back COP.
As long as we know.
As long as we know.
Yes.
Now, I know other people that have gotten demand letters, but when you're with us at Federal Injury Centers, we know how to navigate that. And so our folks don't pay that back. but still it's possible. It is a possibility, but with us, it's not a probability.
Correct.
It's possible. So to remember, I said that. So elect continuation of pay if you don't want to use your own sick and annual leave, and that'll give you up to 45 calendar days of time off. And like I always say, the surest way to get paid is to clock in. And so we want you to get back to work as soon as possible so that you don't have to jump through hoops to get paid, because you do have to jump through hoops to get paid at all times in OWCP until you clock in. Now you don't have to jump through hoops. You just get paid. And that's important to you, I know, because I talk to thousands of you all the time. So that's a CA1. Now, there's another form called a Form CA2, and that's for any condition or injury that develops over a period of time, 2 or more shifts. Carpal tunnel syndrome generally happens over a long period of time. Osteoarthritis of the knee happens over time. Low back pain develops over time. There's a lot of conditions that just develop over time. And most people don't realize that OWCP will cover those and help you get better. You don't just have to suffer with it just because you didn't feel a pop stepping out of a vehicle or off of a curb, right? They allow you to get help for anything that develops as a result of your work of your job. So let's say you're somebody with carpal tunnel syndrome. That claim can be accepted by filling out a Form CA2 at ecomp.dol.gov. Or let's say you are a letter carrier and you've been carrying the mail 8 to 10 miles a day for the last 20 plus years and your knee's all torn up.
Yes.
Well, you can fill out a CA2 and get help for that, assuming the claim gets accepted. Now, here's the asterisk of that, above that. Your doctor has got to ensure that this is an actual work injury.
Correct.
So you need to go to the doctor and say, hey, is this a result of the work that I do, or is this something else? And once the doctor confirms it's work, then you can fill out the Form CA2, because you only want to file a valid work injury claim. That's really important. I always say that there's only one rule that I've read that you need to be worried about, and that's filing a false or fraudulent claim.
Correct.
So don't do that. You can avoid it by just talking to the doctor first if you're not sure.
Right.
So Form CA2 is what you fill out to report a condition or injury that developed over a period of time, more than one shift. And it's done on eComp, just like the CA1, but you're not eligible for continuation of pay.
And a lot of you get confused with that all the time. That's a message I get all the time, because you're asking for COP on a CA2 and you cannot have that.
Yeah, and I think, and I don't know, and there's nothing in writing on this, but I think the reason they do that is because you worked through it already.
Right.
And so they assume you don't need to take off. You just need some restrictions potentially. Now, if your doctor says, I don't know how you've been working, take time off, well, that's a medical decision.
Right.
And I'm not a doctor, so I defer to your doctor. But I just think the reason they don't allow COP is because they think you've been working and you can continue working. So you don't need up to 45 calendar days of time off because you've been working.
Right.
That's what I think.
And the number one thing, because I'm just reading one of these questions on here, don't forget, with a CA1 or a CA2, you guys have 3 years to file these claims from the date it happened.
How long?
3.
That's crazy, because when I go and talk to people live and I ask this question, how long do you have to file a work injury? People say
30.
3 days, 2
7
weeks,
days.
30 days. They just get all these false rumors.
Yeah, and then when they hear it's 3 years, their mouths are just like, what? And all of a sudden they're just like, where's there a clinic?
Yeah, so the key is you have 3 years to report your injuries from the date of injury, 3 years on a CA2 from the date that you became reasonably aware that it was related to your job.
Yeah.
Which you become aware as soon as your doctor says so, right? And so they give you this huge window with which to get help. And they do that, I think, because so many people don't have doctors that can help them, or don't know how to do it. And they spend a bunch of money out of their own pocket. They use their own health insurance and things. And then they find out one day they have an opportunity to get that back. And that opportunity is there for you.
Yes. To
get your time and money back that you used that was yours. Not to mention that you are eligible potentially for a schedule award that you would not have been eligible for if you never got the claim accepted. So they give you this big window of time to try to get your claim accepted. And I think that's a nice benefit for federal employees. I don't know anybody besides a federal worker that has 3 years to report an injury.
I remember, and this was really funny, somebody had messaged me and asked me this question: how long do you have to file your CA1? And I said 3 years. And she said, no, you're wrong. My supervisor said I have 7 days and this is done.
So I have a general rule.
The supervisor's wrong.
If you're a supervisor and I disagree, I'm right. That's the rule.
Yeah.
Write that down.
She said, there's nothing that states that.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
Well, the supervisors are typically not referred to as America's OWCP expert.
Right.
I am. Ask your friends. So we'll just go with what I told you.
So don't forget, you have 3 years to file your injury from the date it happened, because there's people saying, I wish I would have gone to you guys. If you haven't gone anywhere, or if you're seeing a primary care doctor or somebody that doesn't know, you still have an opportunity.
And again, for those of you that are new and haven't heard it before, and I said it earlier, you don't have to go to a Federal Injury Center's office to come here.
Correct.
We have that disclaimer on this Facebook page and on our website and everywhere else. We're here because you need us to be.
Yeah.
We teach you because you don't know, and we have doctors because you don't have any. And we're growing to help you, but you can go anywhere.
You know, it would be awesome if we had like a training for supervisors. I mean, they would hate it.
They won't like it.
But they would learn a lot, and you guys wouldn't hate them so much, or they wouldn't be hated on.
No, they just hate me worse because worse than they already do, because I wouldn't teach it any different. I mean, It is what it is. These are hard and fast rules, and this is how it's supposed to be. So, all right. So I'm going to answer questions in a minute, but I want to go ahead and just talk about all the forms first, and then we'll just like start machine gunning your questions. So if you're asking them, just hang tight. We will get to all of them. And if we get to the end and you didn't hear yours, just ask it again.
Yeah. So we already went over the CA1 and the CA2 and the CA10 right at the beginning, because that last week we started off the year telling you what a CA10 is.
And you'll hear us talk about the CA10 a lot throughout the year because it's so critically important. Every time I do a live training, I always use the CA10.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk all about it because it's that important. And I always say, now that I'm done talking about the CA10, I could just drop the mic and walk out of here. You're all better off as a result.
All right.
But I'll keep going.
Let's talk about the CA17, what a CA17 is and how it helps you, and what to do if your supervisor refuses to fill out one of the sides.
Okay. So remember, we will be coming back to the CA16 because it relates to the CA1. But here's what a CA17 does. It's called a duty status report. It's divided into 2 sections, left and right, side A and side B. And side A is called supervisor. Side B says physician. So what comes first, A or B?
I think it's A.
Even Ellie said A.
Yeah.
Okay. So that means it has to originate with your supervisor, meaning it's not a good idea for you to take a blank one to your doctor or have your doctor print a blank one and fill out side B without side A. Your supervisor needs to fill out side A first. And then what they're writing on side A is what your physical demands of your job are. Whatever you have to lift, how far you got to walk, stepping stairs, the whole thing, right? Carrying packages. And so they write that stuff on side A so that your doctor in side B can write restrictions. If it says you have to lift 70 pounds, maybe the doctor thinks you should only lift 25 or whatever. So the doctor writes 25, right? Now you've got a restriction. And then when your claim's accepted, your supervisor is required to use that to find suitable work for you as a limited duty. Correct. That's what the CA17 does.
Yes.
But it also helps you get back to work. If you go from 25 to 60 pounds, the doctor can change the CA17 and say, now you can lift 60. And so your ability to work increases. That's what the CA17 does, and it must originate with your supervisor. Now, I said they'll use this to put together a limited duty assignment for you. The law states that once your claim's accepted, they are required to do that. They have to make every possible effort to find limited duty for you. And if not, you're going to stay home and get paid.
Correct.
But what everyone wants for you is to get back and clock in. And that's the purpose of a CA17 as it relates to limited duty. So your doctor has to make really good decisions about your safety at work, and then your supervisor's got to follow those decisions.
Correct.
That's the whole point. And just a side note, your supervisors are putting down the limited duty assignments in front of you saying, sign now. And you're being told to sign, quote, under protest because you didn't have a chance to review it with your doctor. But the truth is, the Code of Federal Regulations says that you are afforded 30 days to show it to your doctor to make sure that it's a good and valid offer. So if you want more information on that, it is in volume 4 of my books, Breaking OWCP. And we've talked a lot about it here as well. So you'll find it here. So that's a CA17. Now, some people say, well, my supervisor won't give me a CA17. What do I do? Well, the least controversial answer is to have your doctor fill out an OWCP 5C. Like, dang it, Chris, it's a lot of letters and numbers. Can you just make this easier? No. This is what it is.
Yeah, we don't make up the names.
But every form has a form number, which is a combination of letters and numbers. So the OWCP 5C. And all these forms you can find at my website, federalinjurycenters.com, to make it easier for you. But the best situation is for you to get a CA-17 from the supervisor. And I'm going to leave it there on the CA-17. So we've talked about the CA-10, what a federal employee should do when injured at work. A CA-1, which is what you fill out online to file an injury that happened in a single shift. And a CA-2, which is what you fill out online to file an injury that developed over 2 or more shifts over a longer period of time. And then we discuss a CA-17 that is how your doctor writes restrictions, takes you off of work, and sends you back to work.
So I had a couple people this week ask me this question about the CA-17. What happens when the supervisor refuses to fill out side B? And what
Side A.
Side A. And then what happens when you have it filled out and the supervisor refuses to even go with the restrictions that a medical professional said you can or cannot do?
So let's deal with that. Let's say your supervisor refuses to adhere to your CA-17 restrictions. Well, that's, I think, a safety issue because your doctor's trying to keep you safe at work.
Right.
And you can contact OSHA at 1-800-321-OSHA. 1-800-321-OSHA is the easiest phone number in the world to remember. I always say it's even easier to remember than it is for me to remember my wife's number.
It's true.
So 1-800-321-OSHA. The other thing that I recommend is you get to your union and file a grievance. Explain to them that your doctor has put in medical restrictions and your supervisor is ignoring it. The supervisor is not a doctor. They don't have a license to overrule your doctor. So they are required to follow doctor's orders, and if not, to send you home. Now, if your claim's not accepted, I'm telling you, they don't have to give you limited duty offers. They don't have to do it. They don't have to really care about your restrictions because to them, it's not a valid work injury claim until it's approved. So another reason it's very important that you go to the doctor that knows how to do this, because almost all cases deny claims of the doctor's fault. So if you go to an urgent care or to an ER, or to an ortho, or to your family practice doctor, or to the chiropractor on the corner, chances are your claims are going to get denied because only a small fraction of people have approved claims.
Right.
And when your claims aren't approved, your supervisors don't have to really play ball with you.
So what do they do when the supervisors refuse to follow the restrictions?
Well, like I said, you contact OSHA or you talk to your union. I think those are your best 2 options because the key for us is that you're safe while working.
Yes.
Our doctors don't want you to go to work and get hurt, but they don't want you to stay home. And so what's the best scenario is that your supervisors work with the doctor to find a suitable job for you to get back to work as soon as medically possible.
Correct.
That's the whole point. So talk to your union and talk to OSHA if your supervisors refuse to follow your doctor's orders because safety comes first.
And I know a lot of you, when you're messaging me and I'm telling you, I can only tell you so much because that's all we do. Just
well, we're not the
OWCP,
doctor. We have to be very careful.
And we're not a medical professional with a medical degree. Just go to your union. A lot of you are like, my union doesn't care. They don't want to deal with this. Talk to the shop steward.
And I think they do care.
They do, but just don't attack them about it. First, go to your shop steward because they're there to help. We've trained stewards all across the nation in the last year. Second, if your steward says, okay, let's go talk to the union, go talk to them. Don't be scared just because you're not involved or whatever with your membership.
Get involved.
Just get involved, and that's
no
what
time.
they're there for.
It's a new year.
Right.
Get involved. In fact, I actually really do believe that. Get involved with your union because your union is the backbone. They're who's in your corner or who is able to be in your corner.
Right.
With management, I can't be. Sadly, all I can do is tell you this stuff, and then you got to go execute. But your union stewards are, they can be a powerful force.
Yeah.
And the ones we know are awesome. And I think you should really get involved.
I remember last summer, we had 2 stewards that we trained in Alabama. We love that group out, APW in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And one phone call was a shop steward heard the supervisor say something to another craft employee and was totally out of bounds. So she
telling
called
the
Chris.
employee that they needed to resign because that was their best option for having a work injury.
Yes.
Resign.
Do not do that. And then the next one was...
But that supervisor, it doesn't matter which agency, that supervisor no longer works for the agency.
Yes.
They didn't get relocated. They got removed.
Yes.
Right. And that's a key. And that's because they called OSHA, 1-800-321-OSHA. Because you can't tell someone that because they got hurt, they should resign. That's not okay. And this stuff happens to people all the time. This is not woodshed night. So I'm going to be
Right.
very careful because I could really go off into a rant when I
We'll
start thinking
bring
about
you
this.
woodshed night by March.
But the thing is, you guys are really getting hammered by management a lot of the times, and it's because you allow it.
Yeah.
And you stop allowing it by calling OSHA and talking to your unions and getting help.
And the second call we got, I remember this one. The steward was passing by and she heard the supervisor say, "Your foot is not broken." First of all, you can't look at the foot and say that it's broken.
Right. I don't have x-ray vision.
I'm a retired nurse. I can tell. You cannot say, "Oh, it's not broken." First of all, they don't have a medical license. And Chris had trained them and told them, if they say that, ask them for their medical license.
Which is super sarcastic.
And
But at that point, what else are you going to do?
And she really did. And he felt stupid.
Yeah. I mean, and I would too. Oh, it doesn't look broke. What does broke look like? You had a hairline fracture on your finger.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known.
You just don't know. So
yeah. Like, I've got this bad back, and even an x-ray wouldn't show up.
Right.
So what does a supervisor know?
What do you know? And I'm not trying to be mean, but you don't know.
I'm totally trying to be mean.
So one of the questions on here was, how often do you file CA-17s?
Well, as often as medically necessary. Keep in mind, the CA-17 is a medical document. As soon as your doctor fills it out and signs it, it becomes a medical document. And so it needs to be filled out as often as medically necessary and based on what your doctor says. Now, your supervisors can want one more often, and your doctors can fill it out more often. But keep in mind, it's a medical form. It needs to be filled out when it needs to be filled out.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
All right. So we discussed the CA1, no, the CA10, CA1, CA2, CA17. Now this form, CA16, so many of you that are federal employees still doesn't know that this form exists. So if you're on here and you're new, pay attention, because this form is like liquid gold.
Yeah. It kind of is. The CA-16 pays all your medical bills on a CA-1 injury that happened in a single shift.
Yes.
For the first 60 days following the accident, assuming you report within 7 days. There we go. Time frame, 60 days, 7 days. That's the way it goes. You have to report your CA-1 injury within 7 days of the injury. But I say report now. If you report now, you're never going to miss this deadline. But if you miss the 7 days and report it on day 8, you're not going to get a CA-16, period. Nobody has to give it to you, and no supervisor out of the goodness of their heart is going to when they don't have to.
Yeah.
You need to report it now. The CA-16 on a CA-1 injury that happened in a single shift, when it's reported immediately, pays all of your work-related medical bills for the first 60 days. Now, you have to understand that many, many, many injuries will resolve themselves in 60 days.
Right. But many won't.
Many won't. But the bottom line is, for that 60-day period, you get all the medical attention you need, and it doesn't cost you a penny out of your pocket. And even if your claim's not approved, you never have to pay it back. Hear what I just said. Even if your claim is not approved, like the vast majority of people outside of federal injury centers who have work injuries and don't have approved claims, those people don't have to pay back the money from the CA-16.
Correct.
So they get 60 days of free medical care for an injury they didn't expect to happen, want to happen, or that they weren't prepared to pay for.
And here's what a CA-16 is good for. A CA-16 is good for you going to your DOL doctor. Yeah. So that's number one. It is good for your MRIs, specialist, hospital stays, physical therapy,
chiropractic,
prescriptions, your medication if the doctor happens to give you a muscle relaxer, because as far as our doctors go, we don't write for pain meds.
Right. We don't do that, but it pays for everything.
Yeah, but it pays for everything. So what we tell you to do is get your CA-16, keep the original and make copies and just give it out to all the places you need to go. And that's how they will bill.
Now, with that said, when your doctor uploads the CA-16 through eComp after your first visit, then it's there and it should be covering all your bills. But I always say get a copy and give it to everybody just in case. Let every provider you go to upload your CA-16 just for it to be safe, on your side. But the CA-16 is really important. I say this all the time. Of all the more than 6,000 people we've helped since we started this company, the only people that we've helped who had like extreme financial difficulties They did not get a CA-16, and they did not elect continuation of pay.
Yeah.
They didn't have any way to be paid for time off, and they had no way to pay for their medical bills until their claim got accepted. Now, the reverse of that is when you have COP and you have a way to pay for time off, and you have a CA-16, which is a way to pay your medical bills, then all you've got to do is think about how to get better, not how to pay for it. And it's a serious problem. That's why I stress it so much. I'm always emphasizing getting a CA-16 and electing COP on an injury that happened in a single shift.
So don't forget, your supervisors either one, don't even know what this form is because you guys really don't know what the form is.
Yeah.
Number two, they will refuse to give it to you. This is your liquid gold ticket if you have that. I'm telling you.
Now, again, we're not saying get injured so you can get money.
Right.
Like, definitely don't get injured.
It doesn't pay your bills because
No, it sucks.
when we started talking about this, like in 2016, people were like, "Does it pay my car payment, my
No,
mortgage?" No,
no, you still got to go to work to pay those things. So
it just covers what happened to you during your federal injury.
And continuation of pay is only good for up to 45 calendar days of time off until your claim's accepted. So, you know, it's important
Yes.
still that you go to a good OWCP trained doctor so your claim gets accepted. So in 6 weeks, you're all set. And I think now most of our claims are getting accepted really fast,
Yeah.
like record time. In some cases, no, I'm not going to say that. It's my secret. We're getting claims accepted at record pace, and it's awesome. Nobody else is, unfortunately. And so choose wisely when you go to a doctor.
So we discussed the CA-10, CA-1, CA-2, CA-17, CA-16. Now here's a form that every single one of you thinks you can file it before your claim is accepted.
Yeah, it's a form CA-7, claim for compensation.
Yes.
And look, this is really important because continuation pay is going to run out. And when it runs out, how are you going to get paid if you can't go to work? Again,
Correct.
we want you to go to work. The surest way to get paid is to clock in. That's what we want. Our doctor in Alabama sends 100% of people back to work because the surest way to get paid is to clock in.
Correct.
When you're clocked in and at work, you don't worry about how you're going to pay your mortgage, and those things. And that's really important. But when you cannot go to work, when just physically it's not going to happen, maybe you're like post-op and you just can't because you got, stitches in your back still or whatever, then you need a way to get paid. And the claim for compensation, Form CA-7, is how you do that. The key to this, like the most critical thing, though, is your claim's got to be accepted. If your claim's not accepted, you have no benefits. The CA-16 ran out and you're done. If your claim doesn't get accepted and you used all your COP, you run the risk of having to pay it back. I mean, we've never had that, but you run the risk. It is a risk.
Right.
But if you don't have a claim accepted, you have no way to get paid for time off except to use your sick and annual leave, as you know, will run out.
Yeah.
It's going to run out. So we need to get the claim accepted. Once it's accepted, you can turn in your Form CA-7 every 2 weeks and get paid on a regular basis. The claim for compensation allows you to get paid for something called leave without pay, LWOP. And so anytime you're left work without pay, you fill out a CA-7 to get paid, right? And so that's the whole point. But your claim's got to be accepted. This is no joke.
Yeah.
The surest way to not get paid is to be out of work with an unaccepted claim.
Yeah, I had 4 people this week alone say all of their CA-7s got kicked back and they were denied. My first question to you is always going to be, was your claim accepted?
If not, let's handle that.
Yeah.
Like that's number one.
So,
let's get that done. It's an emergency.
I always say, forget about the CA-7s right now. I understand you want to get paid. You didn't get a CA-16 because it was either too late or you didn't qualify for one from a CA-2. Forget about the CA-7s. Go fix your claim with the doctor so it can get accepted. Then you can start filing your CA-7s. But in the meantime, you could still be filling them out and keeping them, because I know it's a pain in the butt when you have to fill out maybe 17 CA-7s. It sucks.
And you're probably thinking, well, gosh, my claim is denied. What do I do? Tell your doctor to go again. They have to write, rebuttals to the denials. Yeah. You have to do a reconsideration, have your doctor write new medical information to answer the denial reason that your claims examiner gave. And unfortunately, so many doctors outside of our company won't do those rebuttals because it takes a lot of time to write a 3 to 5 page report, which is what it takes to get claims accepted. I mean, we've probably gotten over 2,500 denied claims approved, probably more than 3,000 probably denied claims approved, because we can go again and we'll just keep going and keep going, keep going, keep going. We'll never give up as long as you don't. And even if you do, we may continue.
Yeah. Don't, when it comes to your claim, do not, if you have a doctor that's not a DOL doctor, it's going to suck a bit. And we've had so many denied claims come to our offices, and then it took a little bit, and then they got accepted.
Now,
So,
look, let me give you a big, gigantic disclaimer. Last time I'm going to say it this hour, but you don't have to come here.
right.
That logo is mine. I'm promoting my brand. There it is. What does it do? It wins. It wins at like a 97% pace. It wins. But you may be in Nebraska or Iowa or South Dakota where we don't have an office. So what are you going to do?
Yet.
Right? And so in those cases, and even if you're someplace near a federal injury center, and maybe you're skeptical for whatever reason, just go to Google. You go to Google and you search OWCP injury doctor in your city and state. OWCP injury doctor city state. So like we're in Tampa.
Yeah.
OWCP doctor, Tampa, Florida. And then every doctor that wants to be found by you will be found.
Even our doctors.
Even our doctors. Yeah, but whoever wants to help you, you'll find them that way.
Yes.
Now, if you just go work comp doctor, you're going to be in trouble because you're going to find someone who only does like state workers comp and doesn't do federal, or that does personal injury and just like whatever. Okay, so you got to be very careful choosing a doctor. But if you Google OWCP injury doctor city and state, you're going to find somebody who wants to help you if anybody is there. And if you're in a state where there's nobody like Montana, and there's nobody in Montana who's going to help you until we get there, then you come to Wednesday night chats and we're going to teach you what to do so that you can get your own claim accepted, because that's what we're here for. We're going to help you every step of the way, even when you don't come to our offices.
So if you are looking for our offices, please go to federalinjurycenters.com. All locations are always listed there. We take some off, we put some new ones on, and that's what happens. This is a business.
It's a business. Some leave, some come. You know, we add, we subtract. It's just that's part of business, and we don't want to subtract anybody.
Yeah,
we've recently had a couple of subtracted that we didn't want to go, but that's
business.
That's the cost of doing business, you know, and so it's a thankless job doing what we do to find doctors for federal employees who don't otherwise have them. It's a thankless job because even our doctors sometimes do us wrong. So that's all I'll say about that. I am willing to wake up again tomorrow and start over and find more doctors because that's what's needed.
What I work with Joe, our other partner, and when there is offices coming within the next 90 days, I will go ahead coming soon and I'll start listing the locations. So you won't see that coming soon on our website, but whatever is on our website, whether it's there or not there anymore, that is what we have.
But we do have like a dozen coming soons.
Yeah.
So we're about to, I think, increase by 20 or 25% in the next 60 to 90 days. All right. So with that said, again, massive disclaimer, hear me loud and clear. You don't have to go to federal injury centers to be here. We want to help you regardless. We do not hold it against you. If you went to a competitor who's my biggest enemy, I would still help you. Okay, because I'm here for you. I love you. I can hate my competitor and love you at the same time.
I'll tell you.
So welcome to Wednesday night OWCP chats with Chris and Gini.
Not only do we own the franchise and we do the marketing for it, but I have become the complaint department. So I see a lot of where these doctors are coming from. And it's sad because I would not want to go someplace and get started and then find out it got denied and then have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But we see it all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that. So we're not bashing any other of the offices. We're just letting you know we're here. And like Chris said earlier, we just win.
So I do want to say this one thing. This is not a promotion of any particular office, but our South Bend office is on here, Dr. Karich. And I just want to say go Irish because I'm a big Notre Dame fan, maybe the biggest Notre Dame fan of all time. And when they won
he cried
the last game to make it to the championship, I had tears. And I was outside and I yelled so loud that
my gosh,
Jeannie had to call our two neighbors and let them know that nobody just died.
Hey, no one died. Chris is just super excited because the game.
So go Irish, Dr. Karich. All right. So I've talked about all the forms. I've given the explanations, and now you've all got questions. So Jeannie's going to start at the top and ask all your questions, and I'm going to answer them all.
Ask any questions on the CA10, the CA1, the CA2, the CA17, the CA16, and the CA7.
And if you have anything else you want to ask, whatever problems you're having tonight, you should not have tomorrow. So don't hide your questions. Let me hear them.
All right. Rhonda. Chris, question. Christmas Eve, I lifted a 57-pound cat carrier, but now I have a pinched nerve somewhere. Nerve, neck, back, shoulder, but I have numbing shock down my arms. Now I went for a massage, but it has not helped at all. Now I did tell the supervisor, but I have not filed a claim yet.
Well, tomorrow is the next best time to file the claim. Get it done. It's been more than a week. You're not getting a CA-16. It's man, you're running up on your 30-day period. And if you lose your 30-day, you're not going to get continuation of pay. So go tomorrow, report to your supervisor, go to ecomp.dol.gov and make an account and fill out a CA1. Assuming it happened in a single shift. I think it did. It sounds like it did, but if it didn't, fill out a CA2.
Don Strickland said, do not sign anything. Yeah, we know when the supervisor tells you, here, sign this. Be careful what you're signing.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
get union help. But remember, limited duty offers, your claims examiner affords you 30 days to show it to your doctor. That means you don't have to sign under protest.
Yeah.
And your supervisors don't know that. In fairness to them, they don't know the rules, okay? They're not like me. I sit and nerd out on OWCP rules all the time. My chat GPT knows more about OWCP than it knows about me.
Chris has read the OWCP injury section, I think, from cover
all
to
of
cover.
it, all of FICA. And so is my partner, Tom.
Yeah.
Like the two of us are probably the two leading OWCP experts in the country because we took the time to read it all. And your supervisors didn't. In fairness to them, they don't have time. I have all day to read this stuff. They have all day to supervise you, right? So it's a different thing.
They literally read the whole thing.
All of it.
Fran, go to your NBA. Also reach out to the neighboring local union. So what she's talking about is if your supervisor is giving you a hard time and there's no shop steward to help, or your local union president won't help, this is what she's talking about. Reach out to your NBA or talk to another local.
Yeah.
All right. She said, so thankful and blessed for my shop steward, Laura.
I hear that.
Go, Laura.
Way to go, Laura. Shout out to Laura.
This is Robert Delude, woodshed night every night. It should be.
Yeah. I hear you, Robert. Bobby.
Fran said, I reported my injury same day, wasn't offered a CA1, went to my own doctor about 6 months. Then he told me he was referring me to a surgeon. There's going to be a little sticky problem there.
Yeah, you don't get offered a CA1. You go to ecomp.dol.gov to fill it out. Your supervisor is supposed to tell you that. They clearly didn't, but you need to go do it. You do not have a work injury claim until you do that.
Yeah, and there's no narrative that says it's going to be approved. So, I mean...
No, it's not going to be approved. You haven't filled out a CA1 on ecomp. You have to do that. It's the ABCs of OWCP. So, immediately, you can do this tonight. You don't have to wait till tomorrow to go and get an ecomp account. Ecomp, ecomp.dol.gov. And once you get your account, it's a simple 2 pages. You click, and then you fill out the next page, and you click, and you have an account. It's super simple. And then you go and click the CA1 and fill it out. All right, it's really, really important. Then your supervisor will get an email. They'll fill their part out, and then it'll go to DOL. But the longer you wait, the more benefits you lose. But waiting because you lost benefits isn't acceptable either. You need to get this done. So go file your injury.
There's one thing that this reminded me of. There's a lot of you that go to maybe a regular doctor or just go to some company that says they're going to help you with your OWCP forms and then charge you like $1,500 up front. Yeah. And then every month it gets deducted. You're not supposed to be paying squat.
I mean, you can, but when you're in that situation, you have to ask yourself, what's in it for them to win? If they win, I stop paying. Why would they win?
Right.
Why would they win fast if I'm going to stop paying when that happens? I don't know that that's the case, but you should ask yourself, I wonder if that's the case.
At our offices,
things that make you go,
Oh my gosh, we need a little
Remember
soundtrack.
That?
Yeah. In our offices, they will never, ever, ever ask you for money. And I always tell this to everyone. If they ever did, I need to know immediately.
They're fired.
We just don't do that. They will send you out and refer you to get your MRIs. They will also refer you out to a specialist. And normally our doctors get involved with specialists. So then that way, when you do go to that specialist, they are not taking a copay or any money out of your pocket as well.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Tom Sullivan, can you still get a schedule award if you no longer work for the post office?
Absolutely. As long as your claim was accepted and it's an injured body part that's rateable, you can get one. You have until death, by the way. There's no timeline. Just stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys are looking for doctors, please go to federalinjurycenters.com. There's a big red button that says locations. Click that.
Yeah. And people come to us all the time and they want to know, do you have a location near me? We have a locations tab. If you don't see it there, we don't have one yet. And I wouldn't waste my time on a phone call asking that question.
Yeah.
We just don't have it yet. We list everybody there as soon as they're ready to go.
Jennifer, what's a time frame to submit the CA? Okay, we answered that already.
Yeah, submit them every 2 weeks once your claim's accepted.
Fran Jones, choose OWCP doctors wisely, preferably with a team that can assist from start to finish.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that's what we do.
Yep.
Fran said, I didn't find out about you guys until after I found a doctor, but you all are awesome.
Well, hey, as long as you found a doc that's getting the job done, I'm happy for you. It doesn't have to be ours. We have these because you need them. If you found somebody, fan-freaking-tastic. I'm very happy about that.
Dr. Karch, we will be watching the game from our cabin in Park City. 100%.
There is no chance I would miss that game. No possible way.
Joella, it's a pretty name. I knew nothing about a CA16 form, and
I know.
This is why we tell you
and
to come here.
It's not just you. This is common. When I'm in front of like 100, 200 people live, I say, show of hands, who's ever seen a CA16? Like 4 people raise their hand. So it's not just you. It's unfortunate. And we had a CA16 on our website for the longest time that we found from apw.org, just so you know. Thank you, APW, for having a CA16 there. Yeah. But the Department of Labor, one of their lawyers, sent me a nice letter on their letterhead demanding that I took it down or suffer the consequences. So I took it down. Sorry. You're going to have to get it from your supervisor or from apw.org.
Yeah. So if you're in a place or a situation where the supervisor doesn't have one, just Google CA16 OWCP form. It will pop up and you can just print it. Amy J, I'm off with a CA2, my feet, and approved seeing a federal injury centers. Been off since the beginning of November 2024. USPS nurse keeps calling to talk to me to see if a podiatrist if it's out of my pocket for injections. I had a sprain, arthritis, plantar fasciitis. I feel I'm healing, but slowly. Been doing this 19 years.
Wow.
She asked DOL for a referral. I saw on eComp. They did not send me anything to say I need to see a podiatrist. What do I say to USPS's nurse? I worked 10 months with the pains making it worse.
All right. So the nurse case manager's job is to help you. And it sounds like your nurse case manager is trying to help you because you have an issue that requires a podiatrist. They want to get you to one. The problem is, and I experienced this firsthand. My TV's talking to me.
Oh my gosh.
Stop talking to me.
Just turn it off. That's creepy. She just freaked me out.
I just turned it off. So I can cast this TV over here and it's like, hey, you want to keep doing this? Because it's been a couple hours. Yeah, I want it.
She's bossing him.
Did I hit the power button? That's how you know I want it to be on. Anyways, the nurse case manager's job is to help you. And like 9 out of 10 times they do that effectively. They help you. Everything's fine. So ask your doctor, and it sounds like it's a Federal Injury Center's doctor, but ask your doctor to help you get a referral to a podiatrist. I'm not a doctor. I don't make medical decisions. I don't think medically, okay? But strategically, that sounds like a pretty good move for you. And the nurse case manager and your treating doctor can work together on this.
Yeah.
And that's what we prefer. We want to work with them because our job and your nurse case manager's job are the same. We want to get you back to work. So see if your treating doctor can help you find a podiatrist that will take his referral or her referral. I'm not sure where you're at, but let's get that done.
Bernie, again, go to federalinjurycenters.com. There's going to come a time where Chris and I and our entire team is not going to remember what states we have offices in because there's going to be so many.
And what cities, for sure.
Florida has about 14 offices.
Yeah.
And for me to think of them all, I have to literally think hard only because we live here.
And thinking hard, I mean, it's hard.
That's too much.
Thinking hard's
but
hard.
Again, if an office that is not in your state is not listed, we do not have one yet. Joe is working super hard on getting more doctors and it is not easy. Yeah. Oh, first here.
No. Do
Oh.
that one.
Amy J. Bottom line, what do I tell the USPS nurse who keeps calling me several times a month telling me to see someone else?
I think you should get with your treating doctor and schedule a doctor's visit and have the nurse case manager attend that visit and get your doctor and your nurse case manager on the same page. The nurse case manager shouldn't be bypassing your doctor to help you because these are medical decisions.
Yeah.
And so I think what you should do is just put them on the same page, put them in a room together and make them talk.
Yeah. Fran Jones. Yes, Chris and I are the ones that go out to state and national conventions and we educate. It is a 3 to 4 hour long. This is including Q&A and everything. We bring that book right there, volume 4, whatever the latest book is, we always bring it and everybody gets one for free. We bring little favors to give out. But this is what, when we do the training, there is no payment. We come for
It's
free.
Yeah.
So I just posted this the other day on my page and I will be posting it again. There's a list of things that we ask for. If we'd love to come to a national conference for Chris to train. Again, it is anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, depending on what you guys want us to do. If we only have an hour, Chris can do it. If you want 2 hours, we can.
But we have to be invited by an officer who has the authority to do so.
Yes.
We're happy. We will do it. But we can't show up uninvited officially. Yeah. That's the key.
So any union official can email me at Gini at Gini at federalinjurycenters.com. Give us the dates. I'll ask a few questions. And then if it's something that we can do, we will put you on the books and we will come out and do a training. So we do state conventions. We do national conventions. A lot of our doctors are being invited to local union meetings. And they'll go ahead and do that because we cannot be in all 50 states every week.
Yeah.
So we handle the state and national conventions.
And Janie, yes, we have an office near Baton Rouge, but you need to go to federalinjurycenters.com and check the locations tab. Yes. Scroll down to Louisiana, and then it's alphabetical from there. You can decide if that makes sense for you. But yeah, we happen to have something, I think, 30 minutes away.
All right. So that's basically all the questions so far. So again, we covered what we covered last week, the CA10. And today we covered the CA1, the CA2, the CA17, the CA16, and the CA7.
Wow, I covered 5 forms. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty good at this.
Fran, we need your information so much. I'm in Texas, and I will definitely inquire.
Fran, where are you at in Texas?
Chris is from Texas.
I'm a 5th generation Texan. I lived there 41 years before I moved to Florida, and I love talking to Texans. And yeah, I said it right. You know I did.
That's
Texas. That's how you say it.
These Texas people are in a whole other country. Like, they need to go over there.
I'll tell you what, and I'll have you all know, Texas is the biggest country inside of the United States.
But we know that.
The biggest country in America.
Need to just stay like bordered.
You're not hearing it. We're the biggest country in America.
No, Utah's the best country in America.
Utah's never been a country. It's a state.
It doesn't matter.
Texas was a country.
All right, guys.
We're the best country in America.
If you don't have any more questions, we will see you back in actually 2 weeks. We will be back on chats on January 29th. We're going to be vacationing in Park City, Utah for the next week.
Arlington, Texas. I'm from Denton, so I'm about 30 minutes from you.
And she says she's from Louisiana.
What's up?
Nice.
All right,
guys. So if no more questions, again, we will be back on in 2 weeks instead of next week. Next week we have all of our boys are coming with us on this family vacation. We're so excited to have them go again.
Oh, it's gonna be snow and it's gonna be so cold.
They act like they've never been.
You're gonna be fine.
You know. And it's a full week of planning things to do with them. I'm just gonna tire them out. And then the next week, Chris and I are going to hang out and do some work and see some union folks in our offices and just enjoy the last week there.
So I have one thing to end with, but we have this last question. What if the treating doctor orders an FCE? You have to do it. Follow your doctor's orders. They know what's best for you way more than I do.
Yeah.
And it's good for you. But I want to tell you, go UNT. That's what's up. I went to UNT. All right, Fran, that's up. I went to UNT, but I want to end with this. When I was a little boy, as the earliest memory I have of sports, and I'm a sports fanatic, the earliest memory I have is sitting on my grandpa's knee watching Notre Dame play football against Navy because he was a Navy man.
Yeah.
And he like sort of raised me to be a Notre Dame Fighting Irish football fan. And today, I love Notre Dame so much, and I'm from Dallas. I say this all the time. I love Notre Dame so much that if the Dallas Cowboys won a football game against the Notre Dame girls basketball team, I'd be pissed. That's how much I love them. And I said that to say this. On Monday coming up at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, everyone's going to have an opportunity to watch Notre Dame playing a national championship game. And I think you should, and you should do it just for me. Because God is watching, and that's God's team.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's God's team. Everyone just do the right thing and watch and cheer for old Notre Dame.
I got two more.
She's not even listening to me. What else matters more than this?
Trust me, I'm not a football person at all.
This woman's going to have a Notre Dame jersey on that night. What do you got?
Actually, I didn't pack it. Tammy Newen, hello, our favorite two people. We love you guys. We are still waiting on everything for an accepted claim. I mean everything. They won't approve new headache meds. That sucks. And I don't know what to say.
Well, we'll have to dig into that with the doctor.
Yeah. Marianne Prater, how are you? It's been a long time.
Wow. Blast from the past.
I know. She said, hey, Chris and Gini. Hey, all of you in Bradenton, Florida, those supervisors will give you a very hard time. Call on these two and they will help you. You have to do your part as well. I love these guys. They are awesome and they know their stuff. I am now retired. Thank you, Chris and Gini.
We love you too, and congratulations on your retirement.
I remember seeing Marianne Prater that day in the office.
Yep.
So, all right, guys. If there is no more questions, we will see you guys back in 2 weeks.
All right. Hey, this has been Wednesday night OWCP Chats with Chris and Gini. You can go to federalinjurycenters.com if you want to look at locations. You can also go to Google and search OWCP Injury Doctor in your city and state, and then go to wherever you listen to podcasts and download the Breaking OWCP podcast with Chris and Gini for all the information you need to navigate an OWCP claim successfully. Have a good night. We'll see you.